So, today on the Do's and Don'ts of D&D, we're going to be talking about how to build up an enemy in D&D. How to build up some form of final boss. Now, some ways of doing this are a lot harder than others. You can have enemies who are very, in your face. They're in and out all the time, which is hard when you have a very creative party, because they'll end up killing them. Such as, we had I was in a D&D mini session where the GM had a boss who was like a mob boss type of guy, and he came in when we were outnumbered with a bunch of his goonies, and basically told us to lay off searching for him and blah blah blah. But then one of our characters, so I guess I should lay this background. This one was like your special forces going in to take out the mob boss, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, I bet you that's the final boss," is what he said. And then he literally had his character run forward, pull a pin on a grenade, and it ended the session really quickly because we were kind of there to capture him or kill him. Either one worked. And it ended this mini session in 20 minutes of it starting. Nothing too fast. No, this is the issue with certain types of bosses and enemies in D&D, is how do you have a recurring character? One way is a more of a cheap tactic. But it is kind of effective. They're resurrected. I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you really had to for story reasons, because people don't like it. It doesn't feel nice. One of my ways is mainly having them as a background manipulator. So you're not sure who they are. You know, you send in the party and they're like, you must take out the unknown head of an organization, like my party's currently doing, where it's a background manipulator. You just hear about them, and of course, to make it so it's not a pointless fight, you need to hear about how deadly they are, and you need them to be kind of somehow interacting with the story, whether it's through letters, whether it's through goons saying, I don't know, the blah 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 sends his regards, and this video is really hard to do, and the writing sucked, so I'm basically doing this one mainly on the fly because I couldn't figure out how to write it, so I'm just gonna say it. The best type of enemy, in my opinion, is usually a background manipulator who appears in the story but as a good guy. As someone who's almost a spy in some cases for himself. He's just there manipulating from the background, and by the time the characters catch on, he's gone. If they even catch on. So he's just that. You can have enemies that are like that. That's usually how I portray mine. Sometimes, if it's like a smaller boss, of course, you'll have them be built up slightly, of course. You must always build up a boss. Whether they're some small mini boss or whatever, or whether they're the creme de la creme final boss of a 2,000 hour not session, but game. Because if a boss is not really set up for, then they're not really, I don't know, they're just not there. Currently, for example, we have, in my D&D campaign currently, we have one character who is a spy, and then the spy himself is technically a mini-boss, was built up as a bad guy over multiple sessions. The other characters managed to catch on, and on their own terms, figured out how to capture him in a fight and have engaged him in a battle. You haven't gone through that battle because it's a long battle, because sometimes you have to carry over through multiple days for one session, because nobody can make up their minds on how to go through a turn. But that's a different topic for another time. Now, one problem though, with is I don't know. There's like you don't really get like some enemies. Sometimes just doing this formula doesn't work. If you need an enemy who's more outgoing and stuff, of course you're gonna need them to be up front and center as the villain, which gets hard when you have a party, especially if you have to be like, no, you can't do that. Usually, my trick when I have to do a mini session with an entity like that is you make barriers, but you make it so the barriers seem like they're surpassable. And then just the bad guy gets away. So as if it was a really hard encounter that they fail. Which it usually is. So you at least give them the chance. Because, yeah, you may have been planning for thousands of hours of sessions or whatever. But if they do kill off your main bad guy, you could always have the second in command step up. Or you can have you can make up some big reveal on the fly. But yeah, that's about as much as I have for you. This one's kind of short in comparison, I guess. See you all. Peace.